The January 6th committee is expected to release its highly anticipated findings any day now. Our preview comes from Robert Costa.
Did you go to the rally in the presidential motorcade?
I was there, yes.
After more than 1,000 interviews and hours of televised hearings, one of the highest profile congressional investigations since Watergate, the January 6th committee will soon release a sweeping report.
I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bull.
The looming question, will the report urge the Justice Department to prosecute former President Donald Trump?
On January 6th, Trump knew the crowd was angry. He knew the crowd was armed. He sent them to the Capitol anyway.
For now, the committee is coy. But Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin, one of its leading members, has reached his own personal conclusion.
People want to know, does Congressman Jamie Raskin believe Donald Trump committed a crime or not?
Well, absolutely. I mean, for one thing, there's this mega offense of coup and insurrection against the constitutional democracy. But then that mega offense includes hundreds of statutory criminal offenses. And I think, speaking personally, that Donald Trump could be prosecuted for several of them.
But this report could be the basis, in your view, for prosecution. Could be.
Yeah, I think that it could be. It was Donald Trump who sent out the tweet, heard around the alt-right underworld to gather on January 6th. And he wanted to ride in like Mussolini on the shoulders of the mob so that he could seize the presidency.
This past Thursday, Raskin and David Remnick, editor of the New Yorker magazine, sat down to discuss the potential impact of the report. They paired up since Remnick will publish the report as a book, which will include an essay from Raskin, who received no payment.
Are you confident people will sit down and read this report?
I think in many ways that's the right question. I think about that all the time when we publish a 25,000-word piece in the New Yorker that's deeply detailed and fact-checked. And I've come to the conclusion over time that it's absorbed in different ways. Yes, there are the people that immediately read it. They hungrily read it. Then 2 weeks later is, by the way, did you look at that piece in the New Yorker? And it has an effect.
Having an effect has been the committee's mission, but its work has been challenged by many in Washington, who declared the hearings would change few minds, even when the revelations were startling.
Attempting to influence witnesses to testify untruthfully presents very serious concerns. We will be discussing these issues as a committee, carefully considering our next steps.
The results of the midterm elections, where Trump allies took a beating, cracked open that conventional wisdom.
Had we lost those elections by 40 or 50 votes, as various pundits and strategists and historians were predicting, undoubtedly everybody would have been saying the Democrats should not have focused on the Constitution and democracy. The Democrats should have not focused on reproductive freedom and the rights and liberties of the people.
Perhaps looking back, was the alarm loud enough?
Well, we certainly sounded the alarm as vociferously as we could. I think that the American public grasped the essential elements of the story. Donald Trump was a guy who just would not take no for an answer from the American people and set about to overthrow an election.
This past week, Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes was found guilty of seditious conspiracy for a plot to keep Trump in power. The former president, who has announced his candidacy for 2024, has denied any wrongdoing and has refused to testify before the House committee. But Trump still faces multiple state and federal investigations.
What would it mean for the country if there is, at the end of the day, no consequence for Trump?
I think if there's no consequence for Trump, even if he loses, even if he kind of burns out the way a lot of commentators are suggesting that he's in the process of doing, I think that's a sad day, that there's no consequence.
People are hungering for justice and for accountability and consequences here. injustice runs free for a long time before the mechanisms of justice and the rule of law can operate. That's what it means to live in a free society. We don't just sweep people off of the street, even a tyrant like Donald Trump, and just declare them guilty and throw them in solitary confinement.
So people should have patience, even though these trials are taking a long time, the grand juries are taking years.
Yes, there have been more than 950 prosecutions, I think it is now. We've had dozens and dozens of people convicted. But I know that people feel that we need to make sure that accountability runs all the way to the top. Just because you're elected president or used to be president does not give you the right to engage in crimes freely.
This Tuesday, a ceremony will be held in the Capitol Rotunda, honoring the U.S. Capitol and Metropolitan Police, who defended the center of our democracy.